On this week's Tuesday Talk, we are answering a question or a series of questions that have been asked to us quite a bit in the last few months, all about our composting toilet. So specifically, would we go that route again, and any tips or advice? I think we can, you guys probably already know this, say that we would definitely go that route again, considering it was one of our top 5 things that we think made boondocking easier. Like, what was that, top 5 renovations for boondocking?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So the answer is yes.
So the composting toilet is completely optional, but I don't think we would consider traveling in our preferred method of travel, boondocking, as much as we do, without a composting toilet. Bar none. So for those of you who don't know, the composting toilet effectively removes the black tank from your Airstream. Not physically, but I mean the use of it. So you take out your traditional toilet where your number 1s and number 2s are combined, and that creates sewage.
Yes, and that's important because I did not know that. That is what creates sewage. When solid and liquid waste are combined, that becomes sewage. Them separate is not.
Yes, and the helicopter is right on cue as we started this video 2 minutes ago, and there it is. But yes, so the composting toilet effectively separates the two and prevents sewage from happening. So recently, video up there, we modified our composting toilet setup so the number 1s drain into our black tank and we can flush it out with some water. But before, we were just hauling the number 1s out every couple of days.
Yeah.
So you have to be okay with doing that.
Yes.
However, even doing that every couple days, every 3 days, sometimes every day, depending on how much water we were drinking, it's still worth it because it's so nice not having to haul around a bunch of sewage with you everywhere you go.
So the reason why that's nice, because we haven't explained this yet for people who haven't seen our other videos, is that allows us to combine our gray and black tank. So we just use a valve, which we've done a video about, that
Volterra shutoff valve.
That allows the two to share liquid, pretty much doubling our gray water storage, because we no longer use one as a black tank. It's all gray water, including now that we are diverting liquid waste down there, because that is still considered gray water. And so now we can go twice as long than we would have been able to and store twice as much gray water as we were able to
effectively
before.
Yeah.
And there are more options for dumping gray water than black.
Yes. Yeah, you could be a little bit creative depending on where you're camping with gray water. You cannot be, or at least you should not be creative with black water, because that is disgusting. Yeah. So it really enables us to stay out in the middle of nowhere with no hookups for longer periods of time, much longer periods of time. It was a complete game changer for us.
We did just recently talk to a fellow RVer, Lisa, who is a solo RVer, and she, even with smaller tanks, can go about almost as long as we can with even keeping the traditional toilet. And that makes sense because there's one person. But with 2 of us, it would not have worked. We would not have been able to boondock for 10 days, 2 weeks using the traditional RV toilet. So that's why it makes so much sense for us.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Really just comes down to whether your camping style. So if you camp in campgrounds the majority of the time where you have sewer hookups at your campsite, it may not be a big deal. No. But if you like to get off grid a little bit more, especially for longer periods of time, so more than just a couple days, and you don't have a composting toilet, consider it. Just be aware that you will have to manually empty. And I mean, it sounds worse than it is. The compost really does an amazing job with the number 2s. So it sounds just horribly disgusting, but it's probably not as bad as you think.
So this will tell you something. I'm the one who empties the compost, which is the number 2s. We use coconut coir, and that's actually a tip because people ask for tips. If you're also using coconut coir and you're buying them in the big blocks, because that's the cheapest way to get them, it can be a pain in the butt to rehydrate that. Like, I spent so much time chipping away at it, trying to get the right amount without rehydrating the whole block, blah, blah, blah. Steve now, whenever we get that big block from Amazon, cuts it into like 9 pieces And that way I have them pre-cut and I can put them in Ziploc bags with some water and actually let them hydrate in between. So like I'll just leave them with a little bit of water in a few bags in the back of the truck. And so the next time I have to empty the composting toilet, I already have some coconut coir rehydrated and ready for me. So that's great. So that's a tip. But I'm the one who empties with Steve's help, because sometimes it's heavy, the coconut coir and solid waste. And it's dirt. It doesn't smell at all. Like, no smell. Really? Right? It smells like dirt. It doesn't smell like compost. It smells like dirt.
Yes.
So that, I mean, it's a little bit weird, but it does not smell. The number ones Steve did, I couldn't do that. That was a little bit too.
The ammonia, and I mean, there's smell. There's potency with the smell of number one.
If that could be a problem, consider doing the upgrade we just did, which made a world of a difference.
You funnel the number ones down into your black tank.
And yeah, just put divert that from the little tank you had to empty yourself to either your black or your gray tank. And then the only thing we have to do is every 6 weeks or so empty the solids. And
every 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on
how often
your situation.
Yeah, and how often we're in the Airstream and everything. So, so now somebody asked, I think at one point, it just seems like a lot more work than an regular RV toilet, and that was probably true. It was probably true when we had to empty the liquids. But now we do something with it for about 15 minutes once every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I guess it's more work when you compare it to a traditional toilet, but not hauling around sewage and not having to deal with that. More, I mean, even when I was taking out the pee every couple days, for us it more than made up, like not even close. So for us, it just worked out perfectly, and we would do it again in a heartbeat.
The other big question we've had is if you go back and watch when we installed the composting toilet, we'll put the video up above, we vented the exhaust vent out through our wheel well on the street side of the Airstream.
Yes, the driver's side.
And a lot of people wondered, like, does that smell? Things like that. We've had no issues. Granted, it's on our street side, not on our patio side or curb side, but we have never had an issue. We also used a piece of pantyhose as our screen to make sure things didn't get in there, and that hasn't been a problem either. We have had no issues with that. We've had no issues with mud or gunk getting into it from the wheel well. So I just want to let everybody know that, because we had a lot of questions about that when we did it, and we haven't had any problems, and we've had this for over a year now. So
we didn't really know what we were doing either. No. We just kind of, I mean, we did the best we could at the time, but it turned out to be a pretty good solution.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I can think of about the composting toilet. If there's a specific question that we did not answer, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll probably just answer it via comments unless it deserves a whole nother video. But hopefully this gives you a little update on the composting toilet situation, and that we still very highly recommend it. At least it works very well for us.
Tuesday poop talk.
We hadn't said poop yet, so there you go.
Yes, and I should have worn my I Poop Today shirt. Wearing my Corvette shirt. Makes no sense at all, but that's okay. Yeah. Today's been busy, so I haven't had time to think about my attire.
Next time.
Yes.
So that's it for this week's Tuesday Talk. If you guys have a question for a future Tuesday Talk, as always, leave it in the comments below, or head over to our Facebook group and ask a question there. We sometimes answer them right there and have big group discussions about them.
Nice plug.
Or if it's a question I think other people on the channel will like, I often make them into a Tuesday Talk. So you can do that as well.
That's right.
And we will see you next week.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Bye, guys.
Bye.